Hey, it's Jeff here, and welcome to part two of my look at old New Hampshire town pounds. In my part one, I also had an error, which I hope to correct in this one. If you stick around, you're going to see a new version of the Bow town pound, but for now, I am focusing on the central part of the state. And just a reminder for those who didn't see part one, what a town pound is, and they were something that were built in the late 1700s, early 1800s, all over New England and here in New Hampshire included, of course. And there's more than 70 of them that are known. But anyway, they were built to house farm animals that may have run astray or left the farm grounds, and they would be held there in these locations until such time as the owner would come to pick them up, pay the fees, and pick them up. And so that was sort of the way things were run back in those days when it came to stray animals. But most of them came out of use during the late 1800s, and now they're mostly old stone structures that still exist to remind us a little bit of our history. So stick around. I think I've got some interesting sights to show you today.
The Hillsboro town pound, situated a little off the road. You might not even see it that well from the road unless you're looking for it, which I was. But if you're just driving by, you might not see it. It's across the street from the Presbyterian Church, located here on East Washington Road. And let's get a little closer look. This has been somewhat restored, or this been maintained. And you can see here, there's a wooden gate, which is probably much later than when it was built. And over here to the right of that gate is a sign that explains the background of this one. The pound, built 1774. That's even before the Declaration of Independence was signed. Elijah Fuller was the pound keeper. And then it was restored in 1910. Eunice Baldwin. Nice work, Eunice. A bit of mossy on this one, of course, but what do you expect for a structure that's 250 plus years old? So walk around a little bit and get some more images of it. I'd say the wall itself stands approximately 5 feet tall. Standing behind the town pound now in Hillsboro, get a different angle on it. You can see the gate in the background where I just was. This is probably, I don't know, roughly 30 feet around square. Surrounded by a lot of woods, as I mentioned. The Hillsboro town pound.
Here I am on busy Mammoth Road in Londonderry, New Hampshire for the old Londonderry town pound. This one has its own official state historic marker. As you can see here, take a moment to read the information. Pause the video if you'd like, but I'm going to turn it over take to the right and look at it now the way it is. And you can see this is a very well-preserved facility. I mean, it looks almost like it could still be used today. And if you go to the gate, the wooden gate, which is open, there's a sign up here. It says, Ye Old Londonderry Town Pound 1730. However, I understand that this was the replacement town pound. The original town pound from 1730 was actually in, I think, Derry, New Hampshire, not Londonderry, which is the next town over. This is the one that became the one they used later on and until the end. So let's go inside. The gate is open. And you can take a quick look around here. The stone walls are intact. Seem to be holding together nicely. I'd say they're almost 6 feet tall. And spin around this way. You can get a sense of what the area looks like. As I said, it's right on the main busy road. You can hear a lot of traffic. It says down here, please close the gate. Well, the gate was open when I got in, so anyway, let's take a look at the outside. This tree is nice and old. This is the left side of the structure. It's down there, roughly 30 feet maybe. Another big tree. These trees, I wonder if they're originals. These are big, tall trees. They could have been here as long as the pound was here. Anyway, this is just a lovely structure that's been well maintained by those that maintain it to preserve the history. And I'm really pleased they do that here in Londonderry. So this is the Londonderry Town Pound.
Believe it or not, this is all that remains to the Manchester, New Hampshire Town Pound. The door, the gate, the rest of the structure, long gone. To my left and all around this area is Derryfield Park, a public park where people can enjoy their time with playgrounds and other activities. But someone chose to keep the door anyway, which is kind of nice, because it's better than nothing to recognize where this town pound was once located. And if you go look on the ground, there is a little touch of stone here, which may have been part of the construction. I don't know whether to be sad or think this is funny for the largest city in New Hampshire to recognize its history with an archway like this and nothing more. But there's plenty of other history here in Manchester, so it's a very short video for this one. Okay, around to the front. What's left of the Manchester Town Pound?
Well, I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong. If you watched my last video on town pounds, I went to what I thought was the Bow Town Pound, what Google told me was the Bow Town Pound, but since then I found what's behind me is the actual Bow Town Pound. And the pile of rocks I saw before, I don't know what they are, but this is the Bow Town Pound, and let's go take a look at it right now so I can correct my error from my previous video. What a lovely restored and preserved town pound here in Bow. It's even got a nice collection of flowers decorating the outside. This still has the metal gates. The rocks themselves still seem to be in pretty good condition, standing roughly 7 feet tall, I'm thinking. And I'm quite embarrassed to say that the pile of rocks I looked at before, which I thought were the town pound, boy, far from it. I don't know what I looked at, but Google told me the wrong information. So I got to rely on my own research from now on. What do you think? So let's take a look closer. Can't get inside because the gate is locked, which is fine. This is an historical site for the town of Bow. But I can look right over the gate, show you a little bit about what's on the inside here. As I said, I think the stones are about 7 feet tall. So this would really keep the animals in. There was a placard around the back of this structure that I want to take a closer look at. So let me go do that. As I go down the stones, it leads me to this placard here. Gives a nice history on the Bow Town Pound. Apparently it was rededicated or whatever in 2009. This gives a lot more information than I knew about this pound. The Historical Society has taken great steps to make sure people don't forget it. The Hog Reeves, the Hog Constable. My goodness. It says here in the 4th paragraph, you are now standing at the site of the 3rd town pound established in 1821. For many years, members of the Bow Historical Commission worked to keep this historical town pound maintained. And then it goes on about how they did that. So maybe what I looked at was one of the earliest town pounds, which was just a pile of rocks in my previous video. So I'll pat myself on the back for that. How's that? But this is definitely a lovely structure. A lovely, well-preserved structure. Right here off Branch Turnpike Road. the Bow Town Pound. This is the Gilmanton Town Pound. It's on Route 107 in Gilmanton, New Hampshire, not far from the town center. And the sign to the right says that it was built in 1807. This is maintained apparently by the local historical society as well as the cemetery commission. And so it's well maintained. It still looks like it's in really good shape, and looks like they take some care in making sure that this is a site worth preserving. So let's cross the street and get closer. And I can do it quickly because at the moment there's no traffic. It's been a very busy road today while I'm doing this. So let's take a look. It's a really short entrance. It's probably only about 5 feet tall to get into it. There's the sign up close. Wooden gate. Whether this is the original one or not, it's hard to say. But perhaps it is. It was only meant to hold animals who really didn't know how to open gates. Let's step inside and look around. This is really well maintained. Looks like someone's put some thought and consideration into making sure this one is a nice historical monument, so to speak. Some town pounds are on the New Hampshire Historical Register. I didn't see a sign for that here, but to me this seems like it could be a candidate for something like that. It's a very nice one. Very nice one. As I said, still in very good condition. Yeah. Nice wooded area behind here. There is a house not far from here, looks like next door. You can hear a lot of traffic now. This is a busy road. So there you have it, the Gilmanton Town Pound. These rocks in the woods of New Hampton are the remains of the New Hampton Town Pound, located maybe 25 to 30 yards in the woods away from the historical town meeting house. And it's hard to see, obviously, because it's all grown in back in here. But this is it. And I know that because I knew it was in this area when I was doing my research. But I happened to chat with a fine gentleman at the New Hampton Historical Society who told me exactly where to find it. I would never have thought to walk out here to find this. From what he tells me, they are attempting to either raise the funds or whatever they need to do to clear some kind of a pathway to here so they can mark it as a historical local site and so on, and let people know more about their history and their heritage. So, I mean, the rocks here are only about 3-4 feet high, so this is probably the remains. Probably the higher rocks, if there were any, are probably long fallen down. So this is it, the New Hampton Town Pound. This is the old Meredith Town Pound, and you can see it's dated 1789. We're on Route 106, but this is actually about a mile south of the Meredith town line. We're actually in Laconia. So I'm presuming maybe back in the day, the Meredith Pound also provided services to Laconia. And this one is, at least it's marked, which I think is kind of nice that they've at least drawn attention to that's what this is. And it's been somewhat restored. The gates are gone, of course, but you can see at one point it did have these iron bolt gates, I think. But let's go inside and look around and see. Stones are slipping down a little bit, but of course 1789, that's really about the time the U.S. Constitution was signed. It's a fairly busy road, Route 106, heading up to, I'm in the summertime, so it's heading up to the real tourist destination of Meredith.
But here we go. This is it. Meredith Town Pound. I wonder what this little piece of metal is that's sticking out here. I wonder if it was just something that was used to hold things in place, or if it held a sign or another. I don't know. Who knows? Very wooded behind here. Let's get a slightly different angle from the outside. There you go. Right across the street, let me just shift the camera, there's a nice old cemetery, the Blaisdell Cemetery. A bunch of stones in there look like early 19th century. One of the other things I like to do is wander through old cemeteries and kind of get a feel for the people's lives, the people that are buried there and the lives they led and so on. But anyway, back to here. The Meredith Town Pound. This is the Center Harbor Town Pound, and it's along Route 25B here in Center Harbor, and which is a kind of a busy throughway, and which is not uncommon because a lot of these town pounds were located in areas with high traffic. So it makes sense that the road here is kind of considered a main road these days. So let me try to scoot across the street and I'll get a closer look at it. It appears the town of Center Harbor has made an effort to try to preserve this town pound, although it still has the gate, a wooden gate. It's probably a newer wooden gate, it's probably not the original. Even the bars that are holding the gate in place are probably not the originals either, considering this dates back to pre-1800. So let's take a closer look on the inside and see what you can see. It's like a lot of the other town pounds I've seen. Nice round solid structure. In this case the stones look to be roughly, I don't know, 4 feet tall. It comes up to about my waist, at least the ones I'm standing next to. It's all about the same height. And there's a sign up here that gives you a little history on this one. Hold it there for a moment so you can read it if you'd like. Okay. Now, it's well maintained on the inside, unlike some I've seen that have trees growing in them and tall grass and poison ivy and things like this. This is one that the town wants to kind of allow people to remember, I guess, in their town history. So, very nice. Nicely maintained, nicely preserved. The Center Harbor Town Pound. Here's the Campton Town Pound, and it's even marked by the town's Historical Society. The left here says Site Marker 11 Town Pound. And a little closer, this still has the wooden gates. Much of the structure is still intact. It's kind of overgrown. It's kind of convenient. This is actually called Town Pound Road. So back there, I can't get in there too easily. Back there, the wall looks to be, maybe 8 feet tall. Kind of goes down this little slope up to the gate. And then right to the front. Grown in, but it's still at least recognized by the town of Campton. Here is a description, some details about the pound itself. I'll hold it for a second if you want to stop the tape or stop the video and take a look at it. Looks like the town, thanks to the Eagle Scout projects, helped kind of preserve this in 2005. So yeah, that's very nice. As I've said in other video clips. I always appreciate it when local towns recognize the history of their towns. These structures may seem kind of just a pile of rocks to some, but to me, at one point they were a big part of keeping the animals from running wild around the community. And there it is, the Campton Town Pound. Welcome to the Sanbornton Town Pound. And here's the sign that designates its location. It's on an old unclassified road, so it's a short walk. You have to kind of park on the main drag and walk down this road. And let's take a closer look at this and hope that I'm not stepping in anything that's going to cause me discomfort later tonight, because there's a lot of unrecognizable plants out here to me. So anyway, let's take a look, see if I can get a little closer. Nice stone wall that leads up to it, and there's the entrance. There's no gate. There's no gate left, but the entrance is still there, and this looks like it's in pretty good shape. Let me see if I can get a little closer to it and take a better look. Here is the gateway, and the gateway is only about, I'm guessing, 4 feet high. The stones themselves, though, seem to be about 5 feet high. The top of the gateway here is probably about 5 feet high, actually more like 6 feet high. Let's step inside and see what we see in here. Oh, this is a nicely maintained one. It's not as old as some of the town pounds I've been to, but it's still 1800s. These rocks are nicely placed together. Nice and flat, almost like a smooth surface. Oh, there's one that's fallen off right there. And then looking back out from the inside of the pound. There you go. The Sanbornton Town Pound.
So there's part 2 of my YouTube collection of New Hampshire town pounds. Hope you found this interesting. I'm glad I was able to correct my error from part 1. And there are plenty more of these to try and find, and I'm going to try to find a lot of them. And so there will be a part 3 at some point. Not sure when, but there will be. So if you found this interesting, click like, click subscribe, and I'd be very happy to have you join my channel in that way. So thanks for watching. I'll catch you again next time.